like we have in the Spectrum tonight. St. Mary's is that small school in Moraga, California, that has almost mirrored USU in winning over about that same period of time. And they come to town tonight to finish a home-and-home series that actually began as a neutral game, and then it was home-and-home. It was in 2018 in Las Vegas when we got started with the Gales. But speaking of Vegas, the so-called ninth island of Hawaii, before Thanksgiving, they had the Maui Invitational that had to be played there because of COVID in Las Vegas. And the Gales, in their first ever prestigious event, like that of ESPN, the Maui Invitational, they almost won it. They beat Notre Dame and Oregon before they were edged by Wisconsin. That got them to a 6-1 start, and then they beat UC Riverside on Monday night before they come here. So you can see the comparisons to our Aggie basketball season so far. The week before Thanksgiving, we won that ESPN Myrtle Beach event and did get the title over Oklahoma. And also now we have a basically a 6-1 start, very similar to the St. Mary's 7-1 start. So Coach Ryan Odom said yesterday.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think they're in the 30s right now in Ken Palm, and so they're right at a top 25 team within our league, and so or in their league and in the country right now. So it's an NCAA tournament potential game for either team right now. I don't know if we're in that conversation yet, but I know they are. And so it'll be a hard-fought and a tough game.
So it's St. Mary's tonight, BYU next week, and Weber State and Iowa the week after that, plus some other games. The real good preseason tests are really here to prepare our Aggies for the upcoming Mountain West year beginning right after Christmas. Hi, everybody. To break down tonight's really good matchup, as it appears, it's Al Lewis and Jalen Moore here with our KVNU Game Day before and after each game. We give you the best coverage so you can hear very easily about the Aggies and the opponent, and then analyze the game with your help, of course, post-game when we take calls and texts on our Aggie call portion of Game Day. And let's bring in Jalen Moore now. And we thought this 2021 non-conference schedule would be a good challenge, Jalen, and with the victory Monday night over Carroll College, we can't complain at all about the Aggies having 6 games in a row into the game against St. Mary's tonight.
Yeah, we definitely can't. Just like you said, both teams are, I think we're both 7-1. Both have played good competition so far. We won the Myrtle Beach Invitational through ESPN. They almost won the tournament they were in the Maui Invitational, and they lost to a good team. They lost to a good Wisconsin team, but they beat a good Oregon and they beat a good Notre Dame team. We beat a good New Mexico State team in Oklahoma. So it's like, we're both playing really good ball right now. I think both teams are getting better as we speak and as the season goes on. And I think this is going to be a really good challenge for us, and should be a lot of fun. That the game is at home. I'm expecting it to be sold out. I know they're wearing some black uniforms. Going to be a blackout. I think the crowd is going to be crazy, and I think that's going to be a lot of fuel for our guys. But coming in as a challenging team and an opposing team, also playing in front of a rowdy, crazy crowd is also a lot of fun. It's a great college basketball atmosphere.
There is a little bit of a side note tonight. There's a 7-foot guy who's trying to decide between Utah State and Purdue who's visiting here. He'll be here for the game tonight, so you get a chance, Aggie fans, to really show him what the Aggie atmosphere is all about. And Jalen, I was looking it up. Other than playing really BYU at home the last couple of years every once in a while, you've got to go back to when you started your Aggie career. To play a game this caliber at home for the Aggies, you got to go back to USC and Mississippi State coming in here to play Utah State in the preseason.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always, like I said, during those games too, crowd was also awesome. Always a good test to test yourself and your team against teams like this. St. Mary's is usually up there with Gonzaga and BYU in the WCC that can potentially win the whole conference, whether it's not regular season. Sometimes they've done it in the postseason in their conference tournament, and a lot of times in previous years they've been a successful NCAA tournament team. They've had good players. They've had guys that are successful, and they get a lot of European recruits, Australian guys that come in that know how to play the game. So I'm looking forward to this game, and I know a lot of our players are too. It's just a high-profile game for mid-majors, and like you said, we have a good recruit on campus, so I think the fans are going to come out and show out. And I think it's just going to be a fun atmosphere, and I think the game's going to be close the whole way through.
And you're bringing up some things I want to talk about, so let's start. I want to start with offense first. That's developing so fast for the Aggies. Aggies are now a top 30 in the country shooting team, top 30 in free throw shooting, top 30, in fact, real high in assist-to-turnover ratio. And, of course, Coach Odom talked about these last two games against Arlington and Carroll College, 26 assists.
Our passing, was tremendous. I mean, several of those plays where the ball was just flying around and they're chasing us, and then boom, it's an open three or it's a layup. It's beautiful basketball, and credit to our guys for trusting one another in those situations and just not being afraid to say, hey, I'm getting it to you. I'm getting it to the next guy. And then it's just contagious when that happens. And so I love that.
Jalen, 26 assists in a basketball game is almost unheard of. Let's face it.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing that makes our team special is that our guys 1 through 5 and our guys that come off the bench, everybody's smart. They have a high basketball IQ. They make great plays. They really don't force a lot of shots. But 1 through 5 and some bench players, they're all good passers, and they're not afraid to make the right play. And they're not afraid to make the extra pass. They're not afraid to swing the ball, drive and kick to open players. And the thing about it, obviously our team's shooting well too, because to get assists, you got to make the basket. So to get 26 assists in a game, that means that our passing's on point, but as well as our offense and making baskets is on point as well.
There's also spacing and the individual ability of guys. Everybody on the team seems to be able to handle a ball, and they're almost turning down shots so you think, okay, take it, and they're getting it to somebody else to maybe take a better shot. But the spacing, talk about that basketball conceptually for us of what's going on with the Aggies right now with their offense.
Yeah, and spacing is just big in basketball nowadays too, especially with our team. We don't really have a back-to-the-basket post guy like basketball used to be. So now when you run a motion offense or you run a 5-out or a 4-out, potentially whatever the team could be doing, the spacing is critical. You don't want guys on top of each other. They got to know where they need to be. If someone drives baseline, where do you go? If someone drives middle, where do you go? If we do potentially feed the post, are we cutting? Are we split screening? Those are all the different things that you have to take into consideration that our team seems to be doing on point right now, and they always seem to be in the right position. That way, if we do pass and the other team closes out to a guy in the corner or to the wing, we always have another guy that's in the correct spot so that we can make a good to great pass and get a better shot. And so our spacing's just been on point right now. And I think it's going to be a fun matchup because St. Mary's kind of plays that same way. They don't necessarily always have a typical back-to-the-basket post guy. They usually have a 5 guy that can stretch the court out. So it's almost going to be a mirror image of the teams playing each other. We got a lot of guys that can pass and make plays and as well as they can shoot the ball.
Here's the other challenge tonight, Jalen, about St. Mary's. They're number 1 in the nation right now in not letting teams get assists against them. And we're like leading the nation in that almost now. So that is a real game day storyline that you need to watch tonight. Watch the Aggie assist totals, and we'll be talking about the Gales team here in a moment or two. But after the 5 days they had in 12 days, 5 games in 12 days, it was kind of a good thing in some ways when you think about going into tonight that they've had less playing time for the heavy minute guys these last 2 games as the bench guys got to really get playing time, but they made it quality playing time the last 2 games, and that's what was good to see, too.
Yeah, it was big. I think our bench just needed to work on a little bit more consistency and guys that we can count on because you do run into a game like this. We know so far, 8 games in, we know that our starters are pretty consistent. We know what we're going to get from them each game. But, our bench has still kind of been up and down. And a lot of games that we've won is because we've had a lot of great play from our starters. So I think the last 2 games to see the way that our bench has produced and been consistent, I think was big because we're now, like you said, we're running into the St. Mary's where you need bench production. BYU, you need bench production. Iowa, you're definitely going to need bench production. Weber State's good this year. You're going to need bench production. And I think a lot of teams are going to start centering around Bean and Horvath, not saying they're not going to get their points or do what they do, but we're just going to need some help around those type of guys, and sometimes it could potentially be 1 or 2 guys from the bench.
Z Hamoda, the freshman, of course, the career-high 15 points in 17 minutes. He had gone 2 for 11 to start the season, only 5 points total. He said the other night after the game it was just him finally getting time in the system that works for everybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the coach just don't he let everybody shoot. I mean, our standard, if you're open, shoot it, drive it, make a play. So this what we do here.
Everybody gets to shoot it. We drive. We make a play. It's what we need from Hamota and what he adds athletically, as we talked about the other night, Jalen. And the bigs, I think, could be a little bit bigger in the game tonight in some ways because of, again, St. Mary's does have some big guys. Like you say, they sometimes don't play all the way to the basket, but in a toss or whatever, again, it seems to be kind of a big guy. And then so Dorius and Zapala could be good. But the length of like a Bairstow and a Shulga eventually could be exactly what we need to have a pretty good second group for this team.
Yeah, it is. I like our team. We're just big. We're lengthy. Literally everybody comes off the bench is lengthy besides, Ashworth. But we know what we get from Ashworth. It's just a little spark plug that we need from the bench. But other than him, Hamota's lanky. Zapala's lanky. Dorius, Ashworth, Shulga. They can all do a lot of things offensively, but they can really get after it defensively too. And like we're saying, we don't know. We don't know who it's going to be this game. It was nice to see Bairstow. I think he's going to come out and be ready to go this game. He looked good in his first game back, and Zapala looked good, Dorius looked good, Hamota looked really good. Those are guys that could potentially see themselves getting a couple more minutes because of the way that they were able to produce with the minutes they were given. So it'll be interesting to see how our bench plays a part into a game against St. Mary's and BYU. And we know that he's probably most likely going to go into Ashworth first because that's just the way it's been for 8 games. But after that, who are we going to see next? Is it going to be Bairstow? Is it going to be Hamota from the way he played? Dorius? It's interesting because the way that those guys produce, he's got more options than I think he was thinking he was going to have because of the way those guys have looked lately.
And I count Ashworth almost as like a starter in some ways. I think we got 6 starters the way it's been played up until now. Here's what Coach Odom said about the bench the other night.
A lot of contributors, excited about, other guys getting an opportunity that haven't gotten a ton of opportunity so far. I think that was huge. To get Sean back out there, I think it's pretty easy to see. He's a good player and can really help this team. Z had his moments, certainly when the game was not in doubt at all early in the first half. I thought he came in and gave us a lift there and was tremendous. Shimon again, Trevin was kind of classic Trevin, and then Shimon comes in and Shimon did really well, finished in the half and had a good second half. I thought Max gave us good minutes. Max rebounded the ball, there in that second half and did some solid things. So a good overall win and certainly a game that we can learn from.
But that was Carroll College. This is St. Mary's. It figures to be a lot closer game tonight. Less minutes for the extras if you, again, if the main guys, the main 6 don't get in foul trouble, that would be probably more minutes for them. St. Mary's tonight. The best winning percentage of any team over the past 10 years. They're 10th in that category, 10th best winning team in college basketball. They're mostly an 8-man team. They do have a Utah native on their team. You may recall the name of Pleasant Grove's Matt Von Kamen. He is a transfer from Utah. Coleman is not playing this year with a foot injury. They're an efficient team. We're going to detail them next. So we got Jalen Moore's keys to the game coming up, more from Coach Odom, plus the second part of our Brock Miller interview coming up tonight.
We'll definitely let him try multiple sports, but, it'd be cool to see him, be in an Aggie uniform someday, too.
Brock and his wife expecting, and we'll talk about that next as we continue game day. Brought to you by Alpine Home Medical. If you're looking for compression stockings, CPAP supplies, lift chairs, oxygen supplies, a whole lot more, look no further than Alpine Home Medical. Their phone number is 774-4500, alpinehomemedical.com. Game day on KVNU tonight, Aggies and St. Mary's.
Steven, stop dragging your feet. Don't you give me that look. You've had a bad attitude all day. Now, look, I know you'd rather be with your friends right now, but this has to be done, and either you start cooperating or I'm going to start taking things away from you. And I think you know what that means, don't you, Steven?
Yes, honey, I do.
All right.
Okay.
Watch it.
Bigger isn't always better. At Cast-A-Lite, you'll choose from a huge selection of pavers and receive help from experts. You'll see just how easy it is to do it yourself. For brick, block, rock, paver, and tile, go where the pros go. Online at castalite.com.
This is Dave Simmons for Les Olson Company. Your team's in the locker room ready to get out there and play to win, but you see a player you don't recognize. They're wearing your jersey and even know your coach's name. But who are they? Would you let this stranger look at your team's playbook? That's exactly how phishing attacks work. In 2020, the number of phishing attacks against businesses doubled compared to the previous year. Don't take risks. Take action with the Les Olson Security Suite. Get your free network assessment at lesolson.com.
West Point Dairy Products at Hiram is hiring. West Point Dairy Products has been manufacturing high-quality butter for over 25 years in Cache Valley. They're currently expanding and want you on their growing team. West Point Dairy Products offers competitive wages for entry-level positions starting at $18 per hour, full benefit packages, double time on Sundays, a $2,000 sign-on bonus, and tremendous opportunities for growth. For immediate consideration, call Express Employment Professionals at 435-213-9595.
But we stay focused. We did our job. We play to our standards, which is most important. And that's will give us a win today.
That's Shimon Zapala, who had his first ever double-figure game for an Aggie. A season high for the team, 93 points in the 30-point win over Carroll College of Helena, Montana on Monday night. They hit 57%. They made 10 threes. They shot 37%. They had a season-low turnovers with 10, along with a 26th assist. The defense did a whole lot better. Again, remember the coach said we got to go out in the second half, play better, and they did hold them down in second-half percentages. They upped the rebound totals. They got their 68th consecutive win against a non-Division I team, the Aggies did. But like Jalen, we're talking about tonight, this is a little bit different story to bring in St. Mary's, who's basically been a top 40 basketball team in most of these early rankings of college basketball. This is a good club.
Yeah, they're a good team, and usually year after year they're teetering on the line of being top 25 ranked. Sometimes they are top 25 ranked. So they're a consistently good team year after year. And like I said, they always put themselves in a chance to win the WCC or at least challenge for it or do win the postseason conference up there with BYU and Gonzaga. So those are teams that I think they have a chance at the top of the WCC. Those three teams are the best three teams. To get them at home, I think is big for us. You know, this is the first time they've been back here in a little bit, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, teams are almost kind of a mirror image of each other. We shoot a lot of threes. We're good ball movers. We make good plays. Both teams are pretty good at rebounding. We out-rebound them by at least team averages 4 or 5 rebounds a game. Get a few 2 or 3 more assists a game per game. Steals are about even. So I think it's going to be like a heavyweight boxing match, you know, a lot of back-and-forth basketball, a lot of momentum swings, stuff like that.
And Coach was very adamant about yesterday. You know, we've beaten maybe Richmond, Oklahoma, we think good. But, again, they got those 2 in Las Vegas that were against good teams as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, they beat 2 really good teams in Notre Dame and Oregon, in the Maui tournament in Vegas. And we're right there to beat Wisconsin. We're winning, with, not a ton of time, to go in the game. It was probably the opposite of our Oklahoma game.
Randy Bennett, he has been their coach since 2001 at St. Mary's. He has 461 wins, 193 losses. You know what that averages over all those years? 23-9. They've had 13 postseason appearances in a row, 7 of them in the NCAAs. They have the 12th longest. He is the 12th longest tenured coach right now in college basketball. Who's number 1? Jim Boeheim. Number 2, Mike Krzyzewski. But Randy Bennett isn't far down the list anymore. And the Gales, Jalen, are known. They were the first team, even faster than Gonzaga, to bring Australians to play college basketball. That's where it started, and then Gonzaga got into it. And, of course, we've seen Boise get into it because of the Leon Rice connections to Gonzaga. And now we've got Sean Bairstow on our team. And we had a guy a couple of years ago from Australia. A lot of players coming from there now.
Yeah, there are a decent amount of players in Australia that come over here and they're successful and they look good and they do good things. I think it's just kind of a pipeline that's growing a little bit in the U.S. to go over to Australia and recruit some guys. I'm sure they have some good academies over there that produce good players. These guys got pipelines from Gonzaga and St. Mary's that go over there and get good recruits. And St. Mary's has had guys from Australia on their team that come over and are program changers. They do a lot of good things, and a lot of times after they're done playing college ball, they go professionally and have a good professional career too. So I'm sure they have a few on their team again this year. And, yeah, I just think the game's just going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, what is it? They've got, of course, Patty Mills was one of the original Australian guys, or at least early. Dellavedova. They had that Jock Longdale who played. So they've got some guys who have played. Malik Phipps is still out of the Gonzaga program. It's with the Jazz, I think, on their G League team or around. They have Alex Dukas right now, who's 6'7". They have Kyle Bowen, who is 6'8". So those are 2 Australians that they have. And, of course, Utah got that connection of Andrew Bogut, who was Player of the Year in college basketball out of Australia. 2 New Zealand players on their team right now. Dan Fotu at 6'7". Quinn Clinton also plays from New Zealand. He's 6'3". They have 3 other foreign players. But the one thing you see from these Australian guys, even like Bogut, they have size, but they also have ability to handle the ball and shoot the ball, too.
Yeah, most guys that come from overseas or European or Australian or whatever it is that come over to America, a lot of them have size, but they're just fundamentally sound. I think a lot of the big guys from over there can shoot. They have a nice touch on their shot. So I think a lot of them are adjusting to the game well now, being able to be a 4 or 5 and stretch the court and shoot threes at a consistent rate, and I think that's just why they come over here and are so successful, especially but yeah, most of them are just fundamentally sound. They can put the ball on the floor. They can shoot. They have good footwork. That's another lost art that kind of goes by the wayside sometimes nowadays. And a lot of the guys from overseas, they're just fundamentally sound is what it really comes down to. They don't make a lot of mistakes. Footwork's usually on point, and it's good basketball to watch, and they make some good plays. And I think our team is similar. A lot of our guys are from overseas, some Australians. And then the American guys that we do have, they have good footwork. They make good decisions. They can shoot the ball. So, like I said, I really see the game being back and forth, a lot of momentum swings, and I just think it's going to come down to a lot of little things for the team that pulled out the win tonight.
Yeah, we got 7 countries represented. They have 6, so it is kind of international. They're in a stretch of games right now, the St. Mary's team coming to Logan tonight against the Aggies in the Spectrum. Incidentally, it's on CBS Sports Network at 7 o'clock if you're not going to the game. And we hope it will be a sellout for Blackout tonight in the Spectrum. But Gonzaga in a stretch of, St. Mary's in a stretch. That's a slip. 8 of the next 9, they're playing against top 100 teams. They go to Colorado State on Saturday after this. They are, of course, as Jalen mentioned, 3rd preseason pick in the WCC behind Gonzaga BYU. They are number 14 in the nation in defensive efficiency. They're number 3 in not letting opponents get offensive rebounds. And they are best in the country, as we mentioned, in assists. So, Jalen, here's your real matchup. All the places they're strong are all the places where the Aggies strong in this game tonight.
Yeah, and it'll, like I said, it's going to come down to a lot of little things. I think it really is so crazy. It can't really get much more close than this of what they're good at and what we're good at. It's supposedly, if you look at the stats, they're supposed to cancel each other out. So it's going to come down to, hey, who can make more free throws, who has the least amount of turnovers, who's going to make big shots if it comes down to that. And it could be turnovers that aren't live ball turnovers that the other team can capitalize on, So if we keep it close, 10 to 12 turnovers, I think it gives us a good chance. I think we're going to have to be aggressive and try to get to the free throw line and get a little bit more free throws than them. Obviously, we're going to have to shoot well from 3. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, hey, is this going to be the team that finally tries a way to box out Bean and Horvath and try to keep them off the O boards and not let us get so many second-chance points? I think this might be the better rebounding team boxing out-wise just because they're fundamentally sound. But like I said, I just think it's going to come down to a lot of little things.
We'll going to set that up in just a moment or two. Their leading scorer is a guy named Ben Fotu. He's a 6'7", 3-year letterman. He averages 14.5 points a game. Only 22 minutes of playing time for that. He comes off the bench. And I asked the coach yesterday, why would their leading scorer be a guy who comes off the bench?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. But, I mean, I think it's sometimes – maybe he's most comfortable, in that situation. It gets him going. Maybe he's subbing in, and then the opponent is subbing in as well, and it gives him and their team a chance to really get going offensively. Maybe the rotations are better, for him. Sometimes that plays into it. From a rotational standpoint, it just works better for them.
It sounds like you say he's a versatile kind of guy who can come in and
play different ways. Maybe when he starts to see how the game's going, he can maybe see that from the bench first.
Yeah, no question. He could play inside or he could play outside, and so they could sub him in with 11, and then he kind of is able to play the exterior, and then potentially post up a smaller 4-man. And he also could, sub in for the 5 and play that spot as well and take a 5 out, kind of like we do with Brandon. And so there is some versatility there, that they have to work with.
That's Dan Fotu we're talking about. So as he analyzed the game, Jalen, the coach yesterday, he said, gosh, their front line's good. Our front line's good. Their backcourt's good. Our backcourt's good. We've got that front line, of course, that doesn't have to take a back seat. Justin Bean just went over 1,000 points. He's now number 38 in scoring. He needs 4 more to go to 37 to pass Tyler Newbold. He needs 8 more to pass Pat Dunn and move into the number 36 spot. In career rebounds, he is now he's now 9th in rebounds. He needs 22 to get to Spencer Nelson. He's the number 5 scorer in the nation right now, number 3 rebounder, number 2 in double-doubles. Did you see that Fardoz Amak, the player for Utah Valley last night? Did you watch the BYU-Utah Valley game? That guy's amazing, too, for Utah Valley.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't able to see it, but my dad saw it, and he was telling me about the game, so I heard a lot of things about him as well.
He's something. He really is something. Here's what's interesting. Of course, I loved Ryan Odom the other night when somebody mentioned to him, Brandon Horvath has the one game he had, and then he comes back and gets 20 points in 20 minutes. And here's what the coach said. This is interesting.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, and, he understands he can't be sophomore Brandon anymore. So I know their whole history. I know his whole history. I don't know Bean's whole history. I don't know Brock's whole history, right? But I've coached that kid for, 4 years. And so he wasn't right the other day, and he admitted that, and he played tougher today. I know he scored 20, but I'm not even worried about that. It's like he played tougher on defense. He battled a little more, and he's not the physical center. Like I'm not trying to make him somebody that he's not, but at the same time, there's an effort thing that needs to be there.
But probably against the St. Mary's, we need the 36.6 points and 17.2 rebounds that Bean and Horvath provide for us tonight. So let's get to Jalen's keys to the game tonight. Keys will be brought to you by Les Olson Company. Don't take risks when it comes to your IT network security. Les Olson's got a lot of great ideas, including their security suite. You can find out more about them at lesolson.com. Always helping businesses, again, with your IT needs and also all of your office machine needs at Les Olson Company. So what do you see tonight in what looks like a really good matchup, evenly divided between the teams, as we talked about, between St. Mary's and Utah State?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be super even. Like I said, it's going to come down to a lot of little things, but I think the biggest key is we're just going to have to execute offensively and do what we've been doing the past few days, which was, like we said, a lot of assists, of making a lot of the correct plays, being aggressive, trying to get to the free throw line. You look at the stats, they only allow 58 points per game, which is really good defensively. So I think if we got to execute offensively, because if we can't, and we score around 58 points per game, it's looking really promising for St. Mary's. So I think we're going to have to get around the 65, 70 points this game range to beat them. Number 2, I went back and did some research as well. I think we're going to have to guard the three-point line. Wisconsin did a really good job of guarding the three-point line and ended up beating them. You go and look at the games that they win pretty easily. They handle the team. They shoot really well from three-point line. The games where they've won, but that's still kind of close, they win by 7, 8. They're shooting 25, 28%. The games that they win, they're shooting around 40, 45%. So I think that's going to be big, too. We're going to have to guard that three-point line. And then, like we also just touched on a lot of the show today as well, we're going to need someone other than Bean to be big this game. We know the consistency we get out of Bean. We're pretty sure what we're going to get from Horvath. He had that one game that wasn't him. But those two guys have been consistent the whole season. This is going to be a game where we need another standout performance, whether it's a guy in the starting lineup or, like I said, potentially could be a guy off the bench. I think we're going to need a guy like that to step up this game as well and just be able to produce for us. So I think if we do those 3 things, we have the best chance of winning tonight. Okay. Jalen, always nice to have you on before the game to analyze things, talk about things, and I know, like I said, maybe going back to the big games you played against USC and Mississippi State when you first started your career, we might not have had, other than BYU, a team in the spectrum with this kind of caliber to come in and play a preseason game. So this is a big one tonight when the Aggies get St. Mary's. We'll talk to you with BYU next week, okay? Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Jalen Moore joining with us before the game tonight. John Russell will join after the game. Your calls, your texts. We'll get stuff from the Spectrum. We hope you'll join with us, of course, on our post-game Aggie call as well. We continue with more, counting down to tonight's game in the Spectrum. Like I said, Brock Miller is second part of the interview we did with Brock for this week, and we'll get to that next. And he talks, of course, whenever you've seen Brock and you think about Brock, you think about his back.
It's been a battle. But right now it feels good.
That's what he had to say, and we'll have more from Brock Miller on his life, including that baby, as we talk about game day on KVNU. Also brought to you tonight by West Point Dairy. Hiring now. They ship butter products all over the world. They're hiring. They're looking for people who are mechanically inclined or skilled machine operators. You call Express Employment Professionals at 213-9595 for a great job from West Point Dairy here in the Valley. Game day continues on KVNU.
As we head into this wonderful time of year, Ascent Aesthetics says thanks, Cache Valley, for your warm welcome. Ascent Aesthetics has loved getting to know you and how to help with Botox, fillers, microneedling, laser hair removal, medical grade facials, or skincare. Remember, the perfect gift this year is a beautiful you. Let the Ascent team help you feel confident, beautiful, and refreshed. Give the perfect gift this year, a treatment from Ascent Aesthetics. Learn more at AscentAesthetics.com. That's AscentAesthetics.com.
The holidays bring family, friends, and parties and more. How important is it to you to know that your house is sparkling clean this holiday season? Trust ChemDry of Northern Utah's hot carbonating extraction process to ensure your home is the cleanest, healthiest environment for your family gatherings this season. From carpets to hardwood floors to furniture and even granite countertops for baking. This is Daryl with Northern Utah ChemDry. Call us for some amazing holiday deals.
ChemDry of Northern Utah. ChemDry of Northern Utah. 435-752-6100.
The Riverwoods Conference Center is accepting reservations for holiday parties and events. Inviting you to experience an elegant holiday atmosphere, the Riverwoods Conference Center's beautiful new renovation is complete with new carpet, paint, furniture, and decor. And as always, with catering from Elements, your holiday event will be amazing with delicious entrees and decadent desserts that always deliver excellence. Whether it's a company or family event, it will be festive, beautiful, and scrumptious at the Riverwoods, catered by Elements. For reservations, phone 750-5151, 750-5151.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. Tonight, we are hosting a holiday concert featuring a choir and musical ensemble by Jay Richards. All are welcome to attend, free of charge. We extend a special invitation to anyone who is missing a loved one this holiday season. We will be collecting canned food items at the door for the Cache Food Pantry. Back-to-back performances will take place tonight at White Pine at 7 p.m. and again at 8:30 p.m. Please visit whitepinefunerals.com for more information.
White Pine Funeral Services. Here when you need us most.
More analysis and more previews of today's game. It's KVNU Game Day.
Big night of college basketball. Even Jeff Goodman of, on Twitter today, basketball guru guy who works for Stadium and some of these other places, said probably the best game tonight is Utah State St. Mary's. Now, he was saying it wasn't a great night of college basketball, but to have that game here in Logan, it is a great night. Blackout game in the Spectrum tonight. I noticed that Washington's game at number 11 Arizona scheduled for tonight postponed due to COVID-19 with protocols within the Huskies program. The Pac-12 will work with the programs to find an agreeable date to schedule the game in the future. Washington had no announcement on whether the home game against UCLA scheduled for Sunday will happen or not. Huskies last played at home against Winthrop on Saturday. Of course, Washington's already lost to Wyoming and Nevada in our league up until now in games that have been played. How about last night? Utah Valley again, overtime over BYU. That knocked number 12 out of the undefeated ranks. Aggies, they'll play Missouri State on Saturday, and then the Aggies will turn around and play them next Wednesday in Provo. And then University of Utah, Craig Smith, 93-73, lost to Southern Cal in his Pac-12 opener last night. I noticed Marco Anthony still not in the lineup. Jackson Brentsville from here in the Valley played about 12 minutes. And Raleigh Wooster didn't have a great game starting at guard like he is for Utah right now. But I do point out that the first game that Craig Smith ever coached in the Mountain West Conference for the Aggies, they lost at Nevada like 74 or 72-49. So it wasn't close there either, and you know what happened there. So we'll see what ends up happening. Right now in the conference, Denver's at Wyoming tonight. Wyoming's an undefeated team along with Colorado State at 8-0. Like we mentioned, CSU will play the St. Mary's team on Saturday. That'll be an interesting way to compare the Aggies and Colorado State at this point. Right now, those are the two undefeateds. The Aggies, Fresno State, and Air Force all at 6-1. San Diego State is 5-2. They play Michigan this weekend. New Mexico 5-3. Nevada and UNLV are both at 4-4. San Jose State, after a win last night, 3-3, and then Boise State, after a loss this week to St. Louis, is 3-4. That's the conference records up until now. Tulsa will be at Boise State tomorrow night. North Dakota State at San Jose. So still a really good season for the conference. And we'll be back with more of Game Day as we continue looking at the Aggies. We're going to hear from Brock Miller, and we also have something from the coach on Ryland Jones, and we'll hear from Ryland too as Game Day continues.
Cache Valley Bank's newest branch is now open in Preston. I'm Lance Zollinger, and I'm excited to announce Cache Valley Bank is now open inside Stokes Marketplace. If you're an existing customer, you'll love the convenience. If you're not a customer, we'd love to have you open a new account with us, or even talk with us about a loan for your farm or business. Cache Valley Bank, a community bank where decisions are still made locally, now open in Preston. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Bob Larson with LSS Insurance. Are you confused by TV commercials telling you all that you're missing from your Medicare coverage? These national ads are offered by people you will never hear from again and are only interested in selling you something. Let us answer your questions and show you in detail your Medicare options. We're your local agent, here to help throughout the year. Please call 752-9493. Why not take advantage of every benefit available? Come see us or call 752-9493.
Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Why do Santa and Mrs. Claus shop at Daryl's Appliance? It's easy. Daryl's has the best discounts on Whirlpool, Maytag, and KitchenAid laundry and kitchen appliances. Get the best price guaranteed. Don't forget our no-risk warranty and feel the Daryl's difference because service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
'Tis the season, and if you're getting engaged, bring that special someone to S.E. Needham Jewelers. You'll love our extensive selection of beautiful engagement rings. Also, you'll select a diamond from Utah's largest selection of loose diamonds. You'll find a unique ring at an affordable price with diamonds direct from Antwerp, Belgium at internet pricing. It just doesn't get better.
And you may also take advantage of our 12-month interest-free financing.
Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
KVNU Game Day returns with Al Lewis.
Me, Brock, Bean, Trevin, and Brandon and RJ, we all did an ice bath after the first game when we played, over 40 minutes. We did like a little contrast bath at our pool where we were in the swimming pool for 3 minutes and the hot tub for 1 minute. Credit to our training staff for making us do that. And, that really helped our bodies recover for the New Mexico State game. And the New Mexico State game was, we kind of got off to a great start and we're ended to come out a little bit earlier than playing a double overtime game in 50 minutes. So the next night we did the same thing, a contrast bath with a cold tub and a hot tub. And
so that's how, I wanted you to hear from Brian and Jones. We hadn't had a chance to play that yet. That's how they took care of it in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, or South Carolina. You saw him slam into the scorer's table. You saw him slam his face. He got knocked all over the place. Everybody was saying, how does he handle it? How does he keep doing that? Well, that's how they do these contrast baths. And I know in their locker room they've got the soaking pool as well that they probably use quite often. I mean, Ryland is a physical player for being one of the smaller guys on the floor. He is top 25, in fact, number 20 in assists in the nation. It's the best mark for a guard for assists since Chris Clark in 2008 averaged 6.4 assists a game. He, R.J. Idlerock, and Stephen Ashworth are all top 10 in the conference in assist-to-turnover ratio right now. And again, he makes things happen. We want Ryland to not only pass the ball, but also get his points. And maybe it's not always shooting threes. I think he can take the ball to the basket, be a little tougher doing that up until now. And again, what a matchup we have tonight. As the coach was talking about, you've got this Tommy Kuzi, who plays for I mean, he's like listed as a 5-year letterman for the St. Mary's basketball team against Rylan Jones.
Similar to Rylan in a lot of ways. I mean, he's a little bit bigger, but he probes. He searches and probes, the defense. He's an attacking guard. He gets inside the paint. He has a knack for being able to find the big guys for layups and get other guys open shots. And so we've got to make sure that we're doing a great job of limiting his opportunities to get inside of our defense.
So, again, that is Tommy Cruz. Make it Tommy Kuzi. Make it. Kuzi is a number 12 when you play tonight. He had 17 against Southern Utah. That led St. Mary's that night in the game. Logan Johnson is a returning guard who was all-league last year, and he's a preseason all West Coast Conference guy. He's averaging about 10. Toss is the center. He's the guy he had 25. And, some of these guys have played against the Aggies before a little bit. Bean once had a 24-10 game against them. Again, we're talking tonight, Coach, a lot about, again, you are a good passing team, and they deny passing. They squeeze you defensively. Don't let you have those passes for baskets and all of that. And the coach, of course, did say after the game the other night,
it's an elite passing team, and so we've got to continue to develop that, and while getting better in other areas.
And, of course, that's Rylan Jones and that's Stephen Ashworth, some of those guys who kind of lead the way with all of that. All right, let's head to our interview segment tonight. Brock Miller. Again, Brock is on the charts to eventually he'll be number 8 in most starts, tied with Eric Franson and Pooh Williams when he plays his 99th game as a starter tonight. He's had back-to-back 16-point games, and I talked to him recently, and we talked about basketball playing. Now let's get into some of the personal things that are involved with Brock Miller in the other areas off the court, including some neat things for his family. Let me go into a couple of the things here, Brock. You guys go out on the road and have this bonding road trip for a couple of weeks, and you played some good teams and all. But, now as the thing churns and you kind of come back to play a few more games closer to home here, and then you'll have, of course, another big couple of games that'll be on the road in this preseason. What's your feeling now to this next stretch of games? I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from Carroll College in there, but you've got Texas Arlington, you've got St. Mary's, you've got Weber State, you've got BYU, you've got Iowa. What's the feeling about approaching those that kind of schedule coming up?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, I would say, first of all. And the important thing is you don't want to get too high with, winning a tournament and winning a big game, big games, I should say. So the feeling and the excitement of having momentum to keep getting better every day is really, really fun, and I'm looking forward to that. We got a lot of good teams ahead of us, and the season's just beginning. Got to keep that in mind, and it's just important every day that we build off of what we've started now. And, starting off good like this is really helpful as a team. And it's definitely, when you go on the road for 2 weeks, it's better to win when you're gone that long. That's for sure. But, we're really excited. And I think, we just got to make sure we come together and we go, 1-0 every single day. Meaning, we just get better and win each day, whether it's practice or the game. And, we can't look too far ahead, and we got to take one game at a time and make sure that, we're playing Aggie basketball and that, we're playing to win every single day. That's what's important.
A lot of you guys have been here before that are contributing. You've added in Brandon Horvath and RJ and Idle Rock and, of course, Rylan Jones. The impact of those guys has been great. This team maybe needs just a few other guys to come together. Do you feel like that we can get just maybe one or two more bodies to kind of add in to the starting group of your team?
Yeah, we will. I'm fully confident that we will. And it's so early in the season too. And when you have a new team, a new coach, because I've been through it multiple times, you go through a stage of getting a feel of rotations, guys figuring out their roles, kind of their place, and kind of coming together as a team. It takes some time, Al, and I think that we're on good track, and I think that people that have contributed have done a very good job, and I think that guys will continue to get better and step up too, and as they gain more experience. We got some young guys on this team, and I think they have a lot of potential, and I think that we're going to be in good shape. As long as, like I said, each and every day we just get better and focus on what we need to do to win. And so, yeah, no question. I'm fully confident that we'll have plenty of bodies and we'll be deep and we'll be good and we'll be able to be rolling here come these next games and come conference.
You've now experienced a couple of months of practice with Coach Odom. You've also now played some games. What's different about the Aggies' style of play now as compared to what we say played the last 3 years? What's different?
I think that's a loaded question because it's a total different feel and total different style of play. There's a lot of free motion, a lot more offense getting up and down, a faster pace. On the offensive end, and defensively we're still tough. Obviously we don't have Neemias Queta like we did the last few years, but we still got a lot of good defenders, and I think our perimeter defense has been really solid, as well as our interior's been good because we've been able to help each other out, and I think that we're really connected. So, yeah, I would say that the style is a lot more fast-paced, I would say, than the last 3 years.
Okay. How's your back feeling these days?
Yeah, my back's feeling good. It took a lot of time, a lot of rehab, and a lot of patience this last spring and summer and even part of the fall to make sure I could get my body healthy and my back healthy because, quite frankly, with the back, it can influence your whole body. Things overcompensate. So it's been a battle, but right now it feels good, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to, play in games, and it was a good test for me to go, 3 games in 4 days, and my back responded well, and I'm here, the treatment and the medical staff has been really good for me and have been really helpful in keeping me and maintaining my back at a place to where I can play.
Boy, we like to hear that. And finally, to finish this up, Brock, basketball teams all gear, hey, we want to play our best in March. In talking to you before we started this, March is also an interesting a month coming up for you and your wife. And we, of course, have talked about your situation before. You married into a basketball family. You've been a basketball family. So now you got maybe a future basketball player coming in March?
Yeah, definitely. We're excited, and we'll definitely let him try multiple sports, but it'd be cool to see him, be in an Aggie uniform someday too. So, we're really excited about it, and March 4th will be an exciting day for Bailey and I. We're really looking forward to it and starting our family, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, you're a part of our family, the Aggie family, Brock. We appreciate what you've done. Again, you pointed out, you've been through 3 coaching regimes to get to where you're at this particular point. The stuff on the court's been great. Been one of the great guys to have around the program, too. Brock, good luck in this next little stretch, and we'll check in when we get to conference play, okay?
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Al. Appreciate you.
That's Brock Miller again. Pick a Pearl events coming up at Jarek's Fine Jewelry next weekend on the 10th and 11th. For just $10, you get to pick an oyster and open it. And right there, and you can save it for a perfect stocking stuffer. Again, you've done this before at Jarek's. It's a lot of fun. Again, look for the bright green cars always at Jarek's Fine Jewelry, the Brock Miller interview. And a little bit on the personal side as we're doing player segments and all. Did you hear Z Zamota the other night talking about, first basketball player ever from Bahrain, they think, to play college basketball. And now he comes here to Utah State after he's been in Maine at a prep school, and somebody wondered how it was coming here.
Oh, the experience here is awesome, actually. I like the challenging here. Really good team, and it's a little bit challenging because of the weather and all the stuff, the amounts are here. But yeah, I really like to be in USA.
Challenge with the weather here. We said the other night, John and I both, well, wait until it gets to be January or February, one of those cold nights with snow in the spectrum. Haven't happened except for October snow. But then he was in Maine last year, so somebody pointed that out. He says, yeah, I guess I have been around cold weather. All right, we'll continue. We got the coach coming up next in our next segment of Game Day on KVNU. Aggies and St. Mary's, CBS Sports Network. If you're not going to the game, 7 o'clock for that on CBS Sports Network. We'll be here immediately after the game to talk about it. Take your calls, your texts or calls will be available post-game on our Game Day coverage of the Aggies on KVNU.
It's going to be a fun atmosphere, certainly for both teams to compete in, and I know our guys are looking forward to it.
I'm here with Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical. Jay, I hear your ads for CPAP resupply all the time. What do I need to do to just get that taken care of?
It's easy. We can set up your CPAP resupply within a few minutes. We'll work out all the insurance for you, and then we'll start mailing the supplies straight to your door. You can even chat with a CPAP specialist online. Just visit us at alpinehomemedical.com. We'll have you sleeping better in no time.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
It's back. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan is having our annual Pick a Pearl event. If you've attended this in the past, you know how much fun we have. And if you haven't come before, you don't want to miss this exciting event. For only $10, pick your oyster, open it that day, or save it for that stocking stuffer surprise. Mark your calendar, Friday and Saturday, December 10th and 11th. Pick a Pearl at Jarek's Fine Jewelry, 930 North Main. Just look for the bright green cars.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Experts tell us that the 3 areas of balance for proper health are exercise, nutrition, and sleep. This is Ryan, owner of My Mattress, and while My Mattress Store can't really help with exercise and nutrition, we can help with better sleep. If a person started today to live a balanced life in health, exercise, and sleep, 3 things might happen. 1, we might throw away the bag of peanut M&Ms that we have stashed. 2, we might get up off the couch and exercise. And 3, we'd come buy a new mattress here at My Mattress.
KVNU Game Day is back with Al Lewis.
So really with college basketball featuring Utah State and St. Mary's is the biggest game tonight. I notice NC State is leading late in the game against Indiana, 61-52 as that ACC Big Ten Challenge has been on this week. Cowboys and Saints are 0-0 in the NFL. That's on Fox and the NFL Network right now towards the end of the first quarter. This portion of Game Day for the Aggies and St. Mary's big clash tonight brought to you by the space where you can have large or small events. You can choose inside right now, obviously this time of year, but other times of the year outside. Beautiful Logan Rivers right there alongside Riverwoods Conference Center with their Elements Restaurant, and they bring you Game Day here on KVNU. And let's get to our coaches segment tonight. And Coach Ryan Odom yesterday, again, knows, and we all know, that this is a good opponent coming in tonight, again, at 7-1 right now.
Tough team. Obviously, Coach Bennett's done a great job there over the years, and he's got a veteran team coming back this season. Multiple guys that can get 20 on you. I think they have 4 guys maybe that are right at double figures, and so it's not like you can say, hey, we're going to take this guy out, because they do have a well-balanced team.
Again, we're still kind of geared towards our starters, but we do have 10 guys now who have had double-figure scoring games for the Aggies. But then, again, they average 4 in double figures. And, again, Dan Futu comes off the bench as their leading scorer, but Johnson's at 10.4. Cruzy's at 10.9. Matthias Toss is at about 10.6 and close to 9 points a game, or close to 10 points a game as Dukas. So they've got some guys on this side. Again, as they come in, and again, the coach talks more about some of these personnel people.
4-2 off the bench is their leading scorer. He's a load to deal with. He can score on the block. He's physical in there. Can score from behind the arc as well. And their 2 guards really make them go. They both really get to the basket. They're excellent in transition. Even though they're not a team that really runs a ton in transition, when they do, they're one of the top 15 teams in the country in terms of scoring and getting field goals when they do decide to do it. And a lot of that's on opportunity. They get a steal, they kick it ahead, they're gonna make a play, or they kick it ahead to an attacking guard and they put you in a tough position. But
we're giving you all of those defensive numbers, and again, there's an interesting offensive stat. When they do run, they might be the best transition team in the nation, so that'll be a key to get back on defense for the Aggies. But the big deal tonight, their defense stymies people. They don't allow points. They don't allow great shooting. They don't allow passing, especially. All those kind of areas like Jalen and I talked about that they're really good at. They are really, really good handling the defensive end of the basketball court.
Defensively, they're tremendous. I think they are the top team in the country in terms of keeping teams from getting assists, assisting on field goals. Obviously, that's something that we're pretty good at or have been so far, this season. So something's probably got to give, or maybe it'll be middle of the road. Who knows? Kind of how that will play out. The game will kind of tell us as it goes. But really excited about the opportunity to compete against them. They're a really good team. Expected to do great things this season, so it'll be a good test.
So when the coach brought that up, that they're so good at not allowing assists, and the Aggies, that is a forte that they have, we wondered how then Utah State's offense, which is our real strength right now, it would appear, can handle and do things against this defense of the St. Mary's Gales tonight.
Yeah, I think in general, our ball movement, has been pretty good so far this season, and the interchangeable parts that we have, the skill level 1 through 5 is pretty strong. Guys can dribble, pass, and shoot, and so, spacing is going to be key against a team like this because they can bottle you up pretty quickly. They're really good at guarding the basketball. They're not going to overextend themselves way past the three-point line, but they're going to put sustained pressure on you. And when you do get inside the paint, they tend to lock out, and so they don't give up a ton of threes because of that. And so we can't get seduced by hard shots in the lane, but we also can't get seduced by guarded threes either. And so we've got to continue to work to try to find the right shots for ourselves. And we'll see how they play the pick and roll. That'll determine kind of a lot of things, as we go.
We know the Aggies have been a good home team. They finally get them here at home. St. Mary's, again, beat the Aggies the last time these teams played at St. Mary's. Bean had 24-10 in that game. Remember, the year before that, the Aggies handled them in Vegas, but it's been a while. This is a 13-game series. I think it is, or no, this will be the 12th game of the series. First time since 2012 they played here in Logan. They've won the last 2 times they have been in Logan. We won in Las Vegas, as I mentioned. So it's 6-5 Aggies right now, but it's 3-3, the home schedule against this team. And St. Mary's is an amazing 188-49 in non-conference games over the last 11 years, and they haven't been able to get everybody to come to Moraga. So they have tried to get out again. And Coach Bennett's been in the coaching business long enough now that he's probably got ties, can get them. And they got into the Maui tournament this year. We've been in the Maui tournament once, remember? We almost beat the team that played for the championship that year in Florida. And then we beat USC and beat Chaminade, I think, the 2 games we played there. So we won a couple in that Maui tournament. They won a couple in the Maui tournament. We've talked about all these similarities and everything going into this game tonight. It promises to be, again, one of the best we've had in the Spectrum in a long, long time, probably the best on this preseason for home games this year. And again, after this, it turns a little tougher when they'll play Weber and BYU on the road as the tough games besides Iowa in South Dakota. One final thing tonight. I thought it would be interesting to hear what the coach had to say about Z Hamoda, this freshman that everybody was talking about with his quick 15 points the other night in the game. This is what Coach Odom had to say.
That was good. Yeah, it was great to see. We've all seen it in practice. We have the benefit of practice, as coaching staff and his teammates. So we've seen him go on runs like that against our starters, and good players. And we play these short mini games, and the second team will beat the first team, at times, within practices in these little short mini games. And he has a lot to do with it because he can defend. He's got length, and he's really tough in transition when he's not tentative. And he knows the game. He knows the game. He's way ahead of where I thought.
And so that's, again, the coach on Z Hamoda. Let's not forget, S.C. Needham Jewelers always brings you the starting lineup on our pregame coverage of the Aggies on KVNU for game day. R.J. Idlerock, the 6'4" guard out of London, England. Rylan Jones, the 6-foot guard from Holiday, Utah and Olympus High School. Brock Miller, our guest tonight, the 6'5" senior from Sandy and Brighton High School. Justin Bean, 6'7", Moore, Oklahoma. third leading, what did we say going in? Fifth leading scorer, third leading rebounder in the country going into this game. And then Brandon Horvath off of 20 points in 20 minutes. He's had some really good games, the transfer from UMBC. And West River, Maryland, 6'10", and a senior, the starters for the Aggies tonight against St. Mary's. What a big next 48 hours. You figure you're going to have this game tonight, the football game on Saturday. It's all going to be fun. We're here to talk about it on game day, post-game and pre-game, and we'll be back after the game.
News Talk KVNU, Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM. The power of information.